Good morning, folks. Good afternoon. Good evening. Whenever or wherever you may be. Okay. Today we are going to talk about something that is going to happen. Sorry, in the next months, in the next years, that I think people really should get used to, and that is the duplicity in the sense of more than one or multiple sources of media. This is going to happen. Let me just adjust this a bit. Okay. This is going to happen because, as I was saying, sorry I had to pause because of a kitty accent. Because this dominance of media from a certain number of places, especially the United States, is going to end. Okay, it's going to end because governments will want the ability to self-regulate themselves. Now, does this mean that the internet is going to become less global? No. The only thing this means is that the internet will become more multiple, meaning more sources to consult, more things to see, more apps to install, whatever you want to call it. Okay, but this is the truth, and this is absolutely normal, and in my opinion, it's also desirable. Now, there are some large companies that have shown that they have the ability to adapt to different legislations. Facebook, for example, is one that is unable to do so. X is also one that is unable to do it. The reasons behind this, I don't know. In the case of Facebook, I have no idea why. Maybe it's the source code of the program itself. Maybe it's the way they do things. I don't know. X, it's because the owner of X, Musk, he does not want to do it. And I will say this without any kind of doubts, because I can see it, and because I also know a bit about the subject that I'm talking about. Okay, I've been around computers since the IBM 286, so I probably know a bit about it. Not as much as I should, perhaps, but I do know a bit about it. And let's continue. But I think companies like Facebook, sorry, I'm sorry, I'm a bit tired still, and it's in the in the morning. Okay, but I think companies like, for example, YouTube, they will be able to adapt. Okay, you will find a situation where you, for example, have a Facebook that will be in Europe, maybe under a different name, maybe the same brand name with something else. Okay, and that will adapt to specific European European rules. Okay, you will find it, for example, in South America or whatever. It's going in China, in Japan, or whatever. It's going to happen because the way the United States is going, these companies will not be able to function outside of the United States because the level of censorship that is growing in YouTube, that is growing in a lot of platforms, okay, that is going to destroy TikTok in America. All of this, okay, this cannot. It's not a. It's not a reliable business model. Okay, you cannot make a profit with this. You cannot make a profit when, for example, you have to in the Americas they tell you that you have to do the things in one way. You arrive here in Europe and you are constantly being fined and perhaps potentially blocked from showing your contents in Europe. Then you have the content creators, and in Europe the rules are different. Okay, and they are going to step down on that. Okay, because if you don't know this, if you are a content creator in Europe, you have to declare your profits to the tax revenue system. Okay, Because if you don't do that, you will get into a whole world of pain, just to put it mildly. Okay, so even there, rules will have to will have to be complied with, and this means that, for example, YouTube won't be able to allow certain speeches in your. I'm sorry. Now she's meowing at the door because she wants to leave. Sorry about that, guys and girls. She's been my little kitty. She's been a bit nervous ever since the storm that has been happening around here. Okay, thunderstorms all night and all day, and rain and wind and God knows what. And she's pretty clingy. Guys, she spent the night hugging my legs. Now, let's carry on with the with the media video. And as I was saying, okay, this is what's going to happen. Okay, and we all have to be calm and go on with it. And what this also is going to happen, and this is very interesting because I've been probing the net, I've been seeing a lot of stuff, is that the first thing that is going to happen is you're going to have alternatives to platforms like this one, like YouTube. You are going to have alternatives to a lot of US based media, for the simple fact that governments will want to boycott that media. Look, I'm sorry for you Americans, but what is going to happen is that you yourselves in your country, if you continue in this path, you are going to have an authoritarian regime. But I'm going to talk about this in another video. Okay? This one I want to focus solely on social media and what will happen. Okay, you are going to have we all are going to have new apps that are going to go globally, filling the gap left by censored media coming out of the United States. You're going to have them coming out of China, that also censors their media. Let's be clear about it, okay? From Japan, from Korea, from Europe, okay? Even from emerging countries, okay? I don't know if tomorrow a new app is not going to come out of, I don't know, South Africa, Brazil, or Argentina. I really don't know, okay? And it's or Canada, for example. Also, look, it's all right because what people have to understand is this, okay? It doesn't matter where a media comes from as long as they pay taxes where you live. So you can perfectly use I don't know, Japanese Japanese app and media in Europe, as long as that company pays the taxes for your use as a European citizen for that app. And as long as that app that is working in Europe follows, at least in their operation here in Europe, follows the rules of your country, or in this case of the Association of Sovereign Nations, that is the EU. United States now. United States is practically a slave state. But let's leave it to the another video, because I promised myself I would focus my attention in one aspect, so that we don't get these long 1 hour videos. Okay, I'm sorry. I want to spare you and spare myself also, so that I can also produce more content. Now let's continue. So what we are going to have is this, because before that these companies, they could monopolize the media, and if opposition, but not opposition in the regulation, that they could, like for example, as I said, YouTube was able to do it, okay, but for example, X is not able to do it. But if they wanted to, they could solve this. so to speak. Let's to be simple about it. But now it's more than that. It's a will on the market itself to get rid of your app. Do you understand this? The market itself is ripe for new alternatives to come up. And if you have an app that, imagine, tomorrow you have an alternative to YouTube that comes up, I don't know, in Germany. Just to give an example, okay? It could be anywhere. It could be even here in Portugal, where we are rather competent in terms of in terms of this entire new revolution. Okay, we have all of our services online. We have but again, we can make a video about that and talk about it a little. Okay, but that app comes up and it's offering the same services as YouTube, meaning videos, content creators, paying system, all of that. If that app is reliable, it's going to steal contents from YouTube because simply people will go to that app instead of going to YouTube. Why? Because they don't want to get involved with the United States of America. The same thing is happening to sodas, ironically, here, and fast food chains. Okay? People are boycotting actively. No, I have been doing it for a long time, and a lot of people have also been doing the same thing. But right now, you are seeing people actively boycotting it. Just this Saturday, meaning today here it's Sunday the 25th of January, I went to the supermarket and they were piling up the Coke bottles and whatever big bottles they have, 1.5 liters, in front of the aisles because people were not buying them in the aisles. I'm not going to say what supermarket it was because I know people that work there and that that friend that talks often with me about it, so I'm not going to say it. But they were piling it up at the beginning of the aisles because people were not buying them. And from what I saw, I didn't see any Portuguese citizen buy it. Just to be clear, people don't buy it because look, number one, we have other alternatives, and number two, people are a bit more conscious about their health. Okay, personally, me, for example, I used to drink a Coca-Cola once in a while. I used to drink Fanta, that I like, European Fanta. Okay, not that Nuka-Cola mutant that you Americans have. This was a long time ago. I stopped because we have better options here. Okay, for example, I have options from Germany. I have options from France. I have excellent producers right here in Portugal. There is a brand called Compal, Compall. If you find it, buy it. That it's basically fruit juice and water and a little more, almost nothing. Okay, it's a type of juice that it's so good that you can even give it to your babies. So, okay, babies can drink Compal. Okay, so just so that you see how harmless it is. It's delicious too. Okay, it's not very sugary. I don't like sugary drinks. I like sugar and on my desserts, but not on my juices. Fat boy. But and I saw people boycotting. I have been seeing that trend growing and growing. I started seeing them piling them up in the fresh juices and sodas and whatever piles, and I saw the beer disappearing. I saw the juices from other brands disappear, and I saw it, the Coca-Cola and the Pepsi Cola, just standing there. And Look, the first thing is, and I'm going to just do divert 1 second here and just tell you this. These large companies, like Pepsi Cola, like Coca Cola, like McDonald's, like KFC, like Starbucks, okay, uh, to give some example, uh, these companies, they can uh, absorb uh, this loss of money for a while, and they can trust there will still be a couple of die-hard consumers that will still buy some of that product, even here in Europe, okay? But the question here is, until when? Because in order to work at a loss here, they have to excuse me for a minute. Sorry. Uh, in order to work at a loss in a market that is becoming hostile to them, they have to earn that profit somewhere else. And if the profit runs out in that somewhere else, which is happening to a lot of those companies, they will not be able to operate at this level. Because how do they operate in Europe? The Coca-Colas and the Pepsi-Colas and all of that. It's simple. They pay to local infrastructures that already produce other drinks to produce their product, and then because they have to do it according, for example, here in Europe, they have to follow, abide by EU rules, okay? And if they go to China, they will probably have Chinese rules, whatever. Understand? And then those companies, they have to pay them always, or else they will not produce their product, and they will not be able to sell it. You understand? And then they have this entire distribution system that is attached to the local distribution channels, because it's, look, you already have companies that are supplying sodas or whatever to supermarkets. You have supermarket chains that have their own supply chain distributors. You have all of that, okay? So when you enter in a market, it's not profitable or economically viable, let's call it like that, to create your own supply chains. It doesn't work. It doesn't work if you enter in a mature market, like for example here in Europe. If you go, for example, I don't know, to some underdeveloped country in the middle of Africa or something like that, it would be understandable to have your own systems of distribution of products. Okay, it would make sense. But when you enter in a mature market where you already have high competition, like for example in China, in Japan, in Korea, in Europe, in Canada, in South America, okay, when you enter in those markets, you have to attach your product distribution to other companies. And this is real for all American products. Okay, all of them. They might have some specifications. Okay, they might have a certain product that has to go through a quality check or a specific method of production. But that's for the general aspect of things. It's just like this. Okay, the same company that is selling Coca-Cola or Pepsi Cola or just Coca-Cola and other products to X supermarket chain or X area, up to coffee shops, to restaurants, whatever. The same company that is selling that is selling all over the country, and it's not owned by those American companies. Those American companies depend on contracts. Now, if this continues like this, it will become progressively harder for in this case, let's be blunt about it. let's be blunt. It will be harder for American companies to obtain lucrative contracts or profitable, it's the best word, contracts to distribute their products in mature markets. Why? Because of that backlash from political aspects, and also because if you are selling less, your presence is less known. And if your presence is less known, people will simply get used to not having your product around. Look, and this is one of those basic things that when I say economics is very easy to understand, this is one of those things that it's a bit harder to understand. But the key to a good business is to be seen. It's for people to see your brand name everywhere. It's for people to go into any place in their country and have your product available. For now, it's available. But in the future, if, for example, imagine this, that supermarket. You sold them, I don't know, 500 bottles of bottled Coca-Cola, whatever. And then those bottles sat on a shelf and they just sold not even half of it. Next contract, I don't know, next month, next year, I don't know how. In retail, I think it's usually 3 months, 6 months, 1 year, usually. But don't quote me on that, okay? Because I only know a couple of examples, please. But imagine this: they bought 1,000 now, and they still have more than 500 in stock. So they are going, look, no, don't bring me anything because I don't need anything right now. Do you see how these things work? So you will go by, or you will endure one contract without selling your product because your client did not sold it and they still have it on stock. And then when they renew the contract, they will tell you, no, you're not going to sell me 1,000 bottles because I cannot sell them all. You are just going to sell me 500 bottles. And so on. This is how businesses die. This is how business die out. Okay? When you start selling less and less, because then you have to look at the other aspect. You still had to put in the money and the resources, whatever you need to do to produce those 1,000 bottles. And then you are going to have 500 bottles on stock that you are going to have to sell somewhere else. And all of this is happening while your competitors are selling. While your competitors are increasing profits and not losses. So maybe one of your competitors decides this. They are selling less. I'm going to cut the price of my product right now. I will win. I will get less profit, or maybe none. Maybe I will be 1 year in the loss, but I'm going to take over that market. So they go to that same supermarket that is only going to buy 500 bottles of your cola, and they tell them, "Hey, look, here is my cola. Let's make a deal. Okay, I will sell you 500 bottles of it at half price, so that you can see if you can sell them." Do you understand how these things work? And this part right now, this is business. This is pure business, and it makes me laugh when Americans stop talking about their president as the master of the deal, or that when they claim they are the biggest capitalists in the world, or that Europe is not capitalist, or that even China is not capitalist. Look, China is an organized state. It's a communist state politically, but it acts and it works as a pure capitalism society. Okay, make no mistake about it, because that was the mistake of the Americans. Okay, But and it makes me laugh to hear these people talking about economy when they haven't the faintest clue about it. And me, little Johnny, no one, okay, that didn't finish his economics degree for reasons that I have explained why. Even I know this, okay, and I am certain that if I was to sit at a coffee shop right here and talk with someone that has already worked in the business too, they will also talk about the same thing because this is common sense. And when we are talking about media, which is the goal of this video, this is exactly what is going to happen to the media unless it change, unless the company has the capability to do what I was talking about in regards to YouTube, be able to detach its operation completely to Europe, for example, or wherever it has to go, okay, to Europe, and cut ties with the American companies. And this will mean a lot of things, but it would mean that you will have a specific YouTube here, and you would have something completely different in the United States. That would probably continue the rhetoric because, look, if you get rid of Trump, whoever comes after him will incur in the same sense. In the same sense of trying to control, of trying to get Europe to lower their regulations so that the American companies can make a bigger profit, okay? They will not they will not change things like the quality of your food. They will not change things as the working hours that Americans have to endure. They will not change the lack of vacations. They will not change anything of that, okay? You will still have the same issues. And this is something I'm going to save this for another video, but this is something that really annoys me, okay? Because I don't see people. I see you discussing what is happening now, but I don't see you discussing the reasons why it happened. You cannot look at Trump and this regime as something that has appeared. You have to look at this as a symptom of a disease that is still there, and it will still be there, because you have to attack the root causes of the problem. And Logan, don't think it's just the United States, okay? I see the same thing right here in Europe, okay? I see them attack the symptoms instead of attacking the root causes. But luckily here, they have woken up from the little asses, and they are seeing the problem right now, and they are trying to address it. I won't talk about what problems it is. Maybe I want to make a video about it, but I want to have a bit more data about it, so that I can address the problem. But let's get back to the media. Let's get back to the media. What is going to happen is this, because this is capitalism, okay? Either companies adapt to the. It's not the states that have to adapt their regulations to the companies. No, this is not the United States. It's the companies that have to adapt to the regulations of the state. And if the regulations of the state here in Europe says something like we do, we have the right to use ad blockers, then the companies are going to have to adapt to that system. And look, and some people try to say this is very complicated from a technical point of view. Oh, we cannot do this, but ad revenue and all of that, ads, it could be as simple as this. YouTubers could choose to have ads in their videos and get that income, or you can go back to the good old banner. And this is technically possible. Okay? And anyone that says it's not technically possible in that, well, you don't know jack shit about computing, about programming and all of that. Because you could perfectly have, for example, you could have a YouTube video and then underneath it a banner, or at the side of it, or above it, or whatever, or even in the far corner in silence a little square with an ad going by. You can do this technically. The issue here is that it would consume the resources that these companies do not want to use because they are too busy trying to use AI for everything, including monitoring videos and doing all of this, because they are fucking lazy. Because you would have to employ a team of people, okay, to monitor these things. You would have to spend money to make money. And it would be so easy. And people could say, oh no, it's very hard. Oh no, you cannot. Look, my friend, shut up. I was around in the times where you had to do, and some people that are listening to me will remember this, you would have to spend 2 or 3 hours to understand how you can animate a ball to jump in a screen. So don't tell me it's impossible, because it is possible. And this would be the simplest solution. You will be here watching my video, and underneath it there will be a banner with a video. It would count as an ad view. Okay? Simple as that. Or you would be warned that in my videos you will see in my videos you would see ads. And the mathematical calculation of what is going to go to the YouTuber and what is going to go to from the ad payments to YouTube, okay, it would also be easy to make. Key issue here is they don't want to. They don't want to have that work, because if you have a single stream of information and randomly ads are piled into it, it's much easier. You can use a machine to do that. It's simple, okay? It's simple. It's simple. You don't have to have the trouble of having someone programming that specific banner to alter the entire making of the page, because that would mean you will have to go back when it happened, when it existed, and do it again. So it's pure laziness. And whenever people come around with me with that talk about it's impossible, shut up. It's possible. Okay? This is computing. Let's call it like this, okay? So it's easier for everyone to understand. This is not rocket science. And even rocket science, you can learn it if you study enough. The key issue here is that companies don't want to make a profit. Just like American workers are worked to death because companies don't want to give them leverage and space to actually live. It's the same principle, it's the same way of seeing things, and it's a way of seeing things that we need to end. And remember that in the beginning of the video I told you this. I like to work. I am glad that I'm working, and I work every week. So it's not a question of being lazy or not wanting, or wanting, oh, I want 40 or 50 days of vacation. No, it's not that. It's having time. Time, the only commodity that really interests in this world. But I'm going to make a video about it, okay? Now, so what is my conclusion? My conclusion is that a couple of larger companies I think they are going to be able to adapt to this. They are going to be able to change. But there are a couple of companies, like for example Facebook and X, that have this mindset, this policy of doing things that I don't know if they will be able to adapt. A couple of giants will fall, no doubt about it. Maybe they will be bought off by other companies. Maybe they will be replaced. Look, whatever happens, their know-how and their expertise will not be lost. You keep talking. I hear Americans talking about how they are the best of doing that and doing this, but the truth is, most of the work done in these companies, in YouTube, in Facebook, in Amazon, in X, okay, whatever. The people that are doing that work remotely are in Europe, are in Asia, are in South America. They are even in Africa, in Australia. I know personally, me here, little me, I know at least 10 people that work remotely in this manner. Half of them, or more than half of them, work for media companies. They are right here in Portugal. Look, this is a different world, and it's just like the Brexiters that imagine that just because in the city there's a big billboard with the name of a company and an office with a pretty secretary behind the desk and some guy sitting in another desk in an office inside of that little office, they imagine the money is behind them in a big vault, with a large key where all the money is, and that all of the money is in the UK. It's the exact same mentality, the exact same dumbass mentality. Money is in the market. A company can be right now. A company can be in the United States, and they are not even paying taxes on that wealth. They are paying them when they sell their products in the United States. But when they are selling them, for example, in Europe, they are paying taxes in Europe. And this is why tariffs don't work, you idiots. Because if you want to have these products that are on the outside of your country, the person that is inside of your country, that is importing them, they are going to have to pay the tariffs. Oh, what are you saying? You think company A in Europe will sell you their products $100 less so that you can pay, so that you don't pay the tariffs on your products? Even if they did that, when that product arrived at the United States $100 less, the government would still charge you the tariffs, and you would still pay them at the grocery store or at the supermarket or wherever. People have to stop being fools. You have to stop being idiots. I'm sorry. I don't want to be impolite, but you need to stop being idiots. YouTube, the fines they are paying in Europe or other companies, you want to know who is paying for them? You. Because they are getting those fines, and because they know that in Europe, for example, they cannot deduct it in their tax revenue. They cannot deduct it as a loss. You want to know where they are deducting it in the United States of America. So that 6 billion, I think it was, fine. It's going to be a 6 billion loss in the United States. A 6 billion, that means they will not pay taxes on that money in your country. And this is exactly what they are all doing. And this is why your bloody president is doing it. Because he's taking, probably, allegedly, I don't know, I'm just going true logic, probably why he is doing it. Because he's getting something in the side. And he has become increasingly wealthy during this year of his term. It's just 1 year. Imagine what he can do at the end of his term. And you Americans, and the Democrats also, you keep looking at the little things. There are big things, I understand. We're going to talk about that in another video. You keep looking at the little things, and you don't see the big picture. I mean, some of you see it. Some of you talk about it. Some of you Democrats, I'm talking about Democrats now, are even talking about it and denouncing this situation. But most of you are completely oblivious. Let's stop the rant here. Now, thank you all for watching my video. Thank you for continuing to come here, listen to me, talking with me. Okay, I'm very thankful to all of you, and well, I hope to catch you all in the next one.